Packages Between Us, a channel entirely dedicated to beauty tips for babies.
And
Okay, so this week I thought we could discuss, how do you know if you're in love? I thought you'd get mad at me for this suggestion, but it also felt interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I would counter that with, how do you know if it matters that you're in love? Because you can say, I'm in love, and you're like, I'm in love, so who cares about anything? But I don't care if you're in love. I care about what's happening.
Well, okay, I'm going to remove like the ROCD suffering a little away from this question, because people with ROCD, relationship OCD, really struggle with like, what is love? Like, how do I define love? Like, it can be really hard for them to feel comfortable saying they love someone because they feel like, oh no, what if my experience isn't enough? So I'll start off by saying there is really no way to determine if you're in love, which is like really scary, because it's not like, oh, I can like put my feelings in this measuring tool and then it will tell me if I've hit the love marker or not.
I feel like we're not far off from that being something that
they'll be able to
do. Yeah.
But for me, in my experience, I feel like it's when I have wanted to like say it, like where it's like almost come out and I'd be like, oops.
Yeah. Okay. That's common, where people are like accidentally going to say it, or they feel it and they want to say it, and it's like kind of coming out. Like, I feel like, yeah, for me, it's like coming out. But here's the thing, is that, does that matter? Because so now you have the information. I'm in love. You did it. What does that get you?
Well, so here's a question I have. Do you think that love has to be mutual for it to be like a certain type of love?
No, because I think there are people that love someone romantically that doesn't love them, but they would do something selfless. Like, for example, the person in the movie who is, gets the couple back together that deserves to be together, even though he loves her, but he does it because he wants her to be happy. It's like wanting someone else to be happy, maybe even at your expense a little bit.
But I also feel like there's an element of like, loving someone who doesn't love you back is still like super valid and real. But I also feel like mutual love is a different thing. Like being like in love with someone who is in love with you is like a thing that's like feeding back and forth that you're both nurturing, which I feel like can be different than like unrequited love.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if it feels any different, but it just exists. Like, it's a different thing to tend to when it's like mutual.
Yeah, and also like with you, when you love your friends and it's mutual, that's a very different thing. But I think I would also say, oh, but I would want so-and-so to be happy, maybe not over me, but maybe in a way where I would be willing to sacrifice certain things. Like, I don't know, like when you take someone to the airport, or when even though you have work or something, or when not just doing them a favor, but something that's going to make your life a little bit worse. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess I meant romantic love.
Yeah, but that's romantic love too, I think.
Oh, you think so?
Well, I think like, yeah, it's romantic love when you would make your life a little bit worse to make their life better.
But I don't think I would do that for like my parents, and I don't have romantic love for them.
Right, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, well, that's a really interesting thing. That is like, when do you start to say I love you to a friend? Right?
People really toss it around.
I like don't know when to start. Because I feel like with a romantic relationship, like the first I love you is like this big moment.
Yeah.
But in a friendship, sometimes it'll just be like one person's like, okay, bye, love ya.
Yeah.
So like there's not that like moment of like declaration, where I actually think it would be really cool if that was something that became like normal in friendships, to have like an I love you exchange.
Yeah.
Like the first time you tell your friend that you love them, that should mean something. That should be like a significant moment.
Oh, I love that. Although I think people do just kind of, I also get tripped up when someone's like, okay, love you, bye. And I'm like, do we know each other? But so like, yeah, I think that's nice. Like, that should be a nice thing too.
Right? I'm like, I don't know. I have certain friends where, like, one of my closest friends is a guy.
Yeah.
Michael. And like, I just like talk to him for like on the phone for like an hour and a half. And then as we were saying goodbye, I didn't say I love you, even though I definitely love him and I've loved him for over a decade as a friend. But like for some reason, it's like I didn't say it, even though like if I had been on the phone with like a female friend for an hour and a half, I would have said I love you getting off.
Yeah. I think about this all the time with my friendship with Gondelman, where we were friends, then we started dating, then I love you became very weighted.
Right.
Then we broke up, and I always think about at what point did we go back to saying love you, but we knew it was just in a friend's way.
Like now you do say it again?
Yeah, we'll be like, love your bud, or whatever, or like, be like, okay, talk to you later, love you. But it's like, we're still saying the same words, but it has completely changed.
Yeah.
And I think about that a lot. I'm like, when did we start being like, this is fine to do?
Right.
In a way that, because like, of course, like I've always like had love for him, like,
right.
And like I do like love him, but it's just very funny that it had to come back around to where it means a totally different thing.
Mm-hmm. But it's kind of beautiful.
I don't know. It's also like kind of strange. Like there are people that I would say love you to that I think they would be uncomfortable, so I don't, because it's going to put them on the spot.
Right.
To be like, they're going to be like, okay, and you as well, like they're going to be like, oh.
And to you.
Yeah, like that it's not something that they would normally say. And then there's other friends that are very affectionate and loving and like would say that.
Right.
I don't know. I'm also like getting better at it. I think when I was younger, I was very confused and I would be like, when do we say it? Why do we say it? Now I'm like, it's fine. Like I don't have to be weird or awkward about it with friends or with, non-romantic partners. With romantic partners, I'm nervous because I feel drawn to someone, I feel like interested in them, and then I move way too fast, or I get to, it's either all or nothing. It's like, we're either moving way too fast and we're in love, or it's like, I don't care, or like, this is not gonna, I'm on one date with you and I've written you off. So that makes it hard for me, because I'm saying, okay, let's say I've decided I'm in love with this person, we're in love with each other. Now what? How do you keep that going? How do you prove that? Is that real? Are you obligated to them because you said you loved each other? So, but then if you realize you weren't actually in love, like, you know what I mean?
I think that's an interesting thing, is that people will often be like, oh, I wasn't really in love with them, even though I thought I was.
No, I definitely was. I've been in love with every single person.
But yeah, like that's what I mean. Like I'm like, yeah, like maybe like after that relationship, you've gone on to have stronger loves or more mature loves or more fulfilling loves. But I don't know, like I feel like if you think that you, like, I don't think it's like this like big difficult thing to, like, I think you can love people easily.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, like the need to like be like, have I ever been in love? I don't know. And it's like, you probably were. It's just like that version of love, the version that you had for that person, which might feel so different than the version you have with your current partner.
Right.
But I don't feel like we need to like take away like our past loves and be like, or like judge ourselves for like loving people that maybe we shouldn't have. It's like being able to access love and being able to express love is like a strength.
I agree. I definitely think I loved all of those people.
Oh, yeah.
And that's who I was at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And there are probably people that definitely like people that I have dated for shorter amount of times that was like a stronger love than sometimes with people that I was with for a longer time.
Well, sometimes you fall out of love with someone.
Right. So that's what I'm wondering. So, okay. So you and John, you're married. You were, all right. You were like, we're in love. And then do you now, married a year in, like, do you think every day, like, I'm in love with him?
Yes.
Damn.
Kind of, yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, I have my OCD stuff, so, like, I have, like, my weird thoughts sometimes of, like...
Of course. But I'm talking about, like, you generally, in normal life, you're like, you look at him and you're like, I'm in love with him.
Yes.
Wild. Wow.
I mean, some days, obviously, it's easier to access that than others.
Right, of course.
And some days, I'd say, honestly, more it's like, like what's going on in your own mind. Like sometimes it's like harder to access, not because of anything to do with them, but just because like you're going through things, you're not feeling like yourself, whatever. But yeah, for yeah. I mean, obviously, like the OCD is always like, does my love feel the same as other people's love?
Right.
That's like a thing that like my brain likes to
right.
think.
Well, I just don't. I feel like it's even if I'm in love with someone, I feel like that's not indicative of anything. Like that's not indicative of like this is good.
No, I think that's a great point. Like, it doesn't mean that that's like a relationship you should be in, or that like that it's worth pursuing.
Yeah, or people using "but we're in love" as an excuse to then deal with bad shit or be bad.
I just remember like towards the end of one of my relationships, my ex was like going through like a really rough time, and I like was like hugging him, and I just felt like, oh, I don't love this person.
Yeah.
Like I just felt like the reaction that I'm having to this person in pain is not the reaction one would have when they were still in love with that person.
Yeah.
And that was like such a shock it was like kind of like, it was like, you gotta get out of this. Like you don't have the emotional connection to this person that you should have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a bummer, but it's like sometimes that happens. And sometimes like you can be like, oh, I gotta work to get that back. I want to put in the work to reconnect in that way. But in that situation, yeah, that was not worth it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that you can be like, I'm in love. And then it's like, okay, how do you know that that's going to last? How do you know that that means you're supposed to keep moving forward with someone?
They're different questions.
Yeah. I think next time I'm in love, that's the red flag. As soon as I'm in love with them, I'm like, and that's the red flag. What's number one?
Full flannel.
Flannel?
Full flannel.
But what if the baby's hot?
Pain is beauty is pain.
Oh my God. Beauty. And that's the first bit of pain the baby learns.